Welcome back to the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network. We're brought to you by Yak Gadget. For all your kayak fishing accessory needs, go to yakgadget.com. Pelican cases, coolers, and lighting. Go to pelican.com. The 153 Bait Company. For all your hard and soft bait needs, go to the 153anglers.com. Now let's get this show started.
You're listening to the final cast on Paddle and Fin Podcast Network. I'm Brad. Where's Josh? I'm just messing. Josh is, I don't know if he's going to show up for this one or not. He might jump in mid. So we'll see. If not, he has the week off. So anyway, Matt, welcome to the show, dude. It's your second time. And yeah, we're going to do something different, co-host.
I'm about it. This is going to be exciting. I always love being on the Paddle and Fin Network. Love your sweatshirt. I was going to wear mine, but I knew you were going to wear yours, so I decided not to.
Good call. That'd be kind of weird.
Yeah, a little bit.
No, it's actually been your third time. I forgot you were on 153, and then you were on Armando's show before.
Yeah, I was. Yeah. I was. I guess I honestly forgot I was on the 153 one because John did most of the talking on that one. I was just kind of like a pretty face to look at, and then yeah, I was on Armando's show.
Yeah, that show with Armando was pretty good, and
I liked it. I mean, we got to talk about. I think a lot of things it's Veterans Days tomorrow, so it kind of correlates, I guess, with that show. I think it was a good show. It really showed people what why some people do kayak fish and whatnot. So
yeah, his show's all about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, ever since that show aired, all the people they nicknamed me in the group chat Ned Rig Master after that episode.
It's because you are.
Jeez, I was just like. I think it was Ryan Milford. He was like, Ned Rig Master. Oh, I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I know you hate it, but we fish with each other like 20 or 30 times a year down the GMR, and I could get 10 fish on a Ned rig, and that's like, you're like, oh yeah, man, good job, as you're catching 14 every 5 minutes on your Ned rig. So
yeah, I've been throwing it a few times a year, but I backed off of it this year. I haven't thrown it as much.
Yeah, about to say it's funny because I never threw a Ned rig until I started fishing with you a lot. I threw it here and there, but I'm a power fisherman. I hate going slow, and going with smallmouth. Obviously, in the summer you can't always just power them in. So I started throwing the Ned rig, and then out of nowhere you're like, speaking of, hey man, you ever thrown a Tokyo rig? And I was like, yeah, occasionally, like way back when you're making them yourself. So I started throwing those like nonstop now, and that's all you throw. And I'll go out, and it ticks me off because you'll catch smallmouth on them, and I'll be sitting there throwing a Ned rig or a freaking Tokyo rig and can't get nothing.
Well, when we went up to the reservoirs, man, you threw the Tokyo rig and caught them.
Yeah, I was about to say that's my new favorite. I want to live there. That was awesome. That place is magical.
You threw the Cinco on it. I never even thought about it.
Yeah, I know. That. Well, with the largemouth in there, I couldn't get a small. So, I'm on this big reservoir with Brad. We had another John Workman from 153 was there. Justin Marshall was there, another guy we fish with. And he's in a paddle kayak. You both have motors. I just got my brand new Bonafide 117. I'm sitting there trying to dying across the water with the wind. So I finally go in a hole. At that point, every kayaker is known if you don't have a motor, which I bought at XI3 like 2 days after that.
Yeah.
If you go in big water, the wind will just throw you everywhere. So I tuck back in a hole. I see like 8 smallmouth swim by me, little ones perch out the butt, and I'm trying to throw. I see a largie. I'm like, screw it. I'm just going after largemouth. And then a Tokyo rig with a freaking purple flaked Senko, just back to back, a 17 and 19-inch smallmouth. So it worked out. I love that place. It's awesome.
Yeah, it was something like that. Yeah, I remember you caught a couple good ones. And then we got right around the corner. Justin fished that whole bank. He didn't catch one. We got right around the corner. I ended up catching like a 19 and a half.
Yeah, about to say you just smacked it. And then I got I was like, okay, I pushed away from you a little bit, and then I got thrown into the bank by the wind, and we daringly crossed the middle of the reservoir with your motor and almost died like twice. So,
yeah, I pulled you. I forgot about that.
Yeah, you pulled me, and then I don't know if I let go of the rope or you let go of the rope, but you kept going. And I'm stuck in the middle as the there's white caps on a reservoir, and I'm just like, I'm gonna die here. It's like 40 foot deep.
Yeah, that was stupid.
Yeah, it's not the dumbest thing we've done though in our lives. So there you go.
Let's not go there because we've done some pretty stupid stuff.
We have,
like getting kicked out of a golf course.
That happened. Remember that one time that we drifted a car with some McDonald's trays?
Yep.
So.
Oh, jeez. Good times. Well,
yeah, the good times.
Yeah, that was like 12 years ago. So don't hold it against me, people.
Yeah, before we got married, both of us got married to people and had big boy jobs, and we're still doing dumb stuff all the time. So screw it.
Just fishing while we do it.
Yes. I mean, obviously.
Yeah. Justin, dude, he cracks up every time we're on the water. He's just I'm always making some weird random noise, and he just sitting there laughing. It's like I don't get it, but it's funny. I'm like, I don't know. I'm just having fun.
Oh no! I mean, as someone who's been front row for that too, that it's hilarious because it's out of nowhere. We're all fishing just nice and easy, and there's a group of 5 other kayakers like 200 yards down the river from us. We're going upstream, and Brad just yells like a seagull in the middle of California's beaches, and you just can't.
Yeah, and then it was that time we went to the reservoir. John was around the corner, and he came up. He's like, "You guys were on them, weren't you? I heard you guys yelling."
Yeah,
like we were on them.
Yeah. I don't even think I've caught a fish yet.
Yeah, I do that. I do that just to be stupid. But
no, they're not wrong. But believe me,
there was a couple weeks. No, it was about a month ago. Me and Justin was out on the river, and there was a boat probably like 50 yards away from us. They just got done fishing this little spot, and they were floating down. And I started casting there, and I yelled real loud. I was like, "Whoa!" And he looked over at me. I picked up my net and started doing this, shaking it. he probably looked at me and was like, "God, I was just fishing that spot too. Dang."
I did that the Paddle and Findale Hollow tournament, John. We were pre-fishing it, and he was around the corner from me, and he could just see me through the trees because it was real flooded, which sucked because all the fish I knew where they were at were all gone because they were like 10 feet up the bank, but whatever. And I pulled my net out, acting like I'm getting a huge one. He got over, he's like, "Man, I was just fishing that stretch." I was like, "Yeah, man, I know." He's like, "How big was it?" I was like, "I didn't get a fish."
He's probably like, "I hate you."
He was like, "Man, we're trying to pre-fish and blah, blah." I was like, "Yeah, it sucks. Sorry."
That's funny. Well, man, I know enough with the nonsense here. We're going to get into some cool talk about some Shimano gear that you own.
Yes.
I know we hear people talking about Shimano. They usually talk about the Corrado, the Stratic, and all this stuff. They never go into depth about all the other stuff that are above that, the high-end gear. And I know, like, your collection's insane. You're one of the only people I know that even own, like, a metanium and a alderbaran or whatever you call it, and a Bantam, and all that stuff. So I figured we'd get you on to talk about it because it's freaking cool, and Shimano's awesome. So
you ain't wrong. Yeah, anybody who knows me, I don't act like I'm the tackle snob, because I mean, believe me, Abu, I have an Abu Rocket. I mean, I have other reels. I've used Luz and all that, but I mean, Shimano, in my opinion, whether you're getting just the Corrado K, no, you and me fished the living tar out of a Corrado K for years. They're great reels, but you're not wrong. They talk about the Corrado DC is like taking over the market in the US because it's a digitally controlled reel. And a lot of people don't realize that the Japanese market is always leaps and bounds ahead of what the US has. So like the DC technology has been out since like 12 or 13 with the metanium originally. Which I have one of those. It's up in a case upstairs, or I'd get it out and show you, but it doesn't leave. But I got one on eBay. That's what started all of it. And then, I've just been, I guess, a lack of better word, blessed with the opportunity with getting some reels brand new and finding them in shops or getting them secondhand from people who were just selling them to sell them because they needed money or they didn't use them, or whatever it is. So, it's kind of like what you said, it's not ever talked about because a lot of people can't either. You can't get them. Like, two of the reels that I'm going to show today, you can't even get them in the U.S. unless you order them from Japan or a small shop. Like the Aldebaran Bfs reel, which is this little thing right there. I mean, it's a super small, compact reel that, you know, has been big in Japan for a while, but you can't even get it in the US. And same with, I'm sure, you know, we'll talk about later with one of my big boy. But
is that did you say that was a BFS?
Yeah, that's a BFS, which is it's a BFS stands for Bait Finesse Systems. It's a super lightweight reel. Like this is 50 size. So I mean, it's, you have your standard, like all the reels you're probably used to are 150. So this is a 50, which is more than half of the size diameter of the spool, which is super tiny. I mean, this has, I don't know, maybe a quarter of a spool of Suffix 131 10-pound braid on it.
Jeez.
And then I just run a leader. Like on this, I have a real tiny finesse jig. But I use it for a Ned rig rod, which a lot of guys, you know, Ned rig, you think of, I mean, you're the perfect one to automatically say it's a spinning rod because that's what we all used to run. But Bait Finesse Systems have taken off. Like this is on a Mega Bass rod, Hyuga, which is a medium light casting rod. And I mean, it's awesome with the, you know, ability, which you've casted this rod, you played with it. I mean, it can.
I was gonna say that was the rod that you had out that when you and Justin was fishing downtown.
Yep, we were fishing downtown, and you were asking what I was throwing, and I was like, "Oh, I'm throwing a Ned rig." You're like, "You're casting it." I was like, "I know, it's awesome."
Blew my mind. I didn't know you had the BFS.
Yeah, man, it's awesome because I remember you cast it out, and you're like, "Man, I wish I could," because you said we were a little bit downstream. You're like, "I don't want to blow that area out, but I can't reach it." And I was like, "Hey, watch this," and I threw it right like another 10 yards past. You're like, "What the heck?"
I was impressed how far that thing casted. I was like, "Holy crap!" You know, trying to throw quarter ounce on a casting rod is not easy. So when you had like an 1/8 ounce Ned rig on a casting rod, you're like, "Oh, it's not going to go that far."
Yeah, I mean, I had a 10th. I mean, I'll throw a 10th on that and launch it. Just one of the EWG Z-Man heads, which great product. And if you do an end of the year thing, I'll be back for that one to talk about that because I liked it a lot, and now I'm going away from it because hook sets suck. So,
which one?
The Ned rig. Do you remember when they came out? I'm pretty sure when they first came out, I bought you and me some packs. The EWG's.
Oh yeah,
heads.
Z-Man.
Yeah,
Ned
the Z-Man. Yeah, and they were great when I first got them because I was like, I'm not getting stuck on stuff, but hook sets suck.
Yeah, I think the reason why is because the gauge of the wire hook. It's just like the gauge of the wire compared to using it on a medium light, you just couldn't get that hook set.
No, yeah, you can't get the hook set. And I actually found, because when you Texas rig something, obviously you're putting the plastic over it and T-posing the hook so it's hidden and whatnot. And getting through on doing a hook set with a medium light rod, getting through the plastic, getting into the fish's mouth, it'll either, I've bent 2 of them out already trying to do, because you have to do a meteor hook set, especially with a casting rod. It's not just a, you know, reel up. It's like you're pitching and flipping, and it bends those hooks out. So, I mean, I'm just going back to throwing old exposed hooks, and good thing they're only like $350 at Dick's. I'll just buy more.
Yeah. You've seen what I do with my TRDs. I'll kind of Texas rig them on the regular.
Which is, I do that now because the regular Ned rig hooks, the gauge wire's thicker. So you can do that hook set and it pops right through the plastic like nothing. The EWG's just, you're right. It's a thin wire and it just acts weird. And it's a great concept. If they put a thicker wire hook on it, I'm sure it'd be awesome. But, you know, it just came out, so maybe they'll fix it.
I'm sure if I threw it on like a medium 7-foot rod or something like that, it'd be better.
Oh, yeah, it would be fine. You'd have the backbone to negate it. But I tried fishing with a Ned rig with a medium rod, and I didn't get the feel I had with a medium light. So
same here. Who did I just talk to? I want to say it was Justin. We were doing a float, and he recently was like, "I like throwing my Ned rig on my medium rod."
Yeah, we talked about that back when he got his victory, because we went out over by where I work. You know where I'm talking about. And we were doing that float after work one day. I don't know what you were doing. You couldn't come out for whatever reason. And he was talking about, yeah, I'm going to start throwing Ned rig on a medium. I was like, man, you're going to miss so much stuff on the bottom. And he hasn't had an issue with it, and he likes it. So, I mean, to each their own.
Yeah, there's no wrong or right answer when it comes to fishing. But
no, you do whatever you feel comfortable with.
Yeah, sometimes there's a wrong answer. Sometimes there's not.
I mean, yeah, okay, yeah, I'll take that back. I mean, if you throw, I've got a swim bait rod back there with a 2-ounce hook or 2-ounce bluegill on it. If you throw that on medium light, you'll only be wrong once.
Break your rod tip or something.
Oh, you'll break your rod in half.
Yeah, that would suck, but
it is.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Man, I don't even know how to pronounce it. Aldebaran or Aldebaran?
Aldebaran.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about that. Like, is it the construction of it? What is it, like a metal frame?
So the Aldebaran, I pulled it up because I know quite a bit about them, but I knew you were going to ask super technical stuff, so I wouldn't know. So it's the same material that's made out of the metanium. Let me see if I can loosen this up so I can get it to where I'm not showing a rod every 2 seconds. So it's super small, super lightweight. I mean, you're looking at actual weight. Lord, I couldn't speak. So actual weight. It kept getting lost in me. You're looking at, I mean, it's a couple ounces. I mean, it's a super lightweight reel. Now the drawback with something this small is your drag is super light. I mean, it has your standard star drag on the side there, but I mean, your drag is super light, even at full tilt. Like I usually keep it like there's all the way and I'll keep it right there. And that's only, I want to say the drag is, what is the drag on this one? It's 3.5 kilograms. So like, I think that's in metric is what, 7 or 8 pounds, maybe. Like it's not heavy at all. So, I mean, even I caught, it was a 16-inch smallmouth on it. Mm-hmm. And at full drag, it was pulling drag. Like it was a half drag on a spinning reel. So you have to really play with them, especially because, I mean, it's a super light and thin spool. So it's not like the standard MGL spool that's on the, like my Bantam Mgl or metanium Mgl, which we'll get into what MGL stands for and all that. But that's a super lightweight spool, helps you cast. This spool is actually, which I'm sure I could pull a picture up and show it in a couple minutes, but it's a skeletonized spool to where it's got basically holes pulled through it that, they recommend when you actually do it that you don't use anything heavier than 10 or 12 pound braid, because Japanese braid tends to go in regular fluoro sizes. Because you can actually crimp that spool together.
Here we go. I'm going to pull it up here because I can screen share. Tell me if this is the right picture or not.
Yeah, the Aldebaran Bfs Spool.
All right.
I mean, it's gnarly looking when you're looking at it because it looks like nothing. Yeah. About to say, I mean, it looks like nothing. Like that's the 16, which is it's the same style spool in the new one, but it's the same thing, and it's gnarly because you look at it and you're like, man, that looks like a cheese grater.
Yeah.
And I was looking at a bunch of forums because I just got into BFS fishing this year from watching what is it? It's on, I follow them on Instagram. Hook Up Tackle. They're out in Arizona. They sell a bunch of JDM stuff. And they started throwing it, and it was originally designed for like trout and stuff. They'd use real tiny jerk baits with real small treble hooks, and they use it for trout. And I was like, and they were showing the applications of, small jerk baits or tiny crankbaits for bass and Ned rigs. So I got it, and I was reading a forum, and some guy was like, yeah, I put 30-pound braid on my BFS reel, and it literally collapsed his spool. And that spool's like not cheap. Like if I had to order another one from Japan, it's like $120 for the freaking
Oh my
spool.
gosh, dude. Why would you do that? Like,
I don't know. Well, there's not a whole lot of information like on the US side. Like there's Japanese forums out the yank. Like I went on one, thank God for Google Translate. And I literally translated the whole thing into English, and I'm reading through it. And obviously one language doesn't translate the other. And it was talking about guys using 15-pound fluoro that was warping spools. And I was like, man, like I'm sitting here looking at this brand new. I was like, I don't want to use this. I'm scared.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'd be the same way.
I kind of just well, like when we were going back from that float you're talking about downtown when you first used this. Remember, I got stuck on that wire over top. Like literally, I was casting.
Oh yeah,
yeah. and I was pulling on it, and this 10-pound braid, this new 131 from Suffolk, I don't know, it's made of like titanium or something, and wouldn't break. And I was like, man, and I kept pulling on it, and I pulled on it enough, and I thought I heard like a clink sound, and I was like, oh no. And I stripped all my line off. Like when I got home, I cut the line there, stripped it all off, went over the spool meticulously like a magnifying glass, and I was looking at it, and I was like, all right, we're still good. But yeah, man, it's a great reel though. I mean, this is a Kitech, it's an 1/8 ounce Kitech finesse jig with a baby Rage Menace on the back of it, and I can cast this thing like 50 yards. Like
that's impressive.
And
that's impressive.
I mean, it's crazy. Like if you want to throw like a super lightweight like application, typically you're going and you're using a spinning reel, obviously. And even with that, you know, I've always, to myself, how I've explained it to myself is a spinning reel is great for distance on light stuff, but you don't always get the accuracy you're looking for. A casting rod gives you that accuracy.
Yeah.
With this, I can throw super light applications really far, which is awesome. So stubborn fish in the middle of summer who want a smaller application, like I'm going to throw tubes on this next year. I'm pumped about that.
Dude, I was going to say perfect combo for when the water is really low and really clear in the summertime.
Exactly, because you can literally
far away
fish a whole area without busting into it.
Yep.
Because I mean, you know as well as I do, river smallmouth will let you come right on top of them before they go away. But why risk it in the summer when they're finicky? Yep. Throw to them, let them eat it on their own. But yeah, like this reel, BFS is starting to get big in the U.S. Like the Corrado BFS reels here now, but it's been huge over in Japan because again, they're trout fishermen. Largemouth, fun fact for you and all your viewers, largemouth in Japan, if you catch it in public water, you're supposed to kill it immediately like we do with Asian carp. They do not want largemouth in their bodies of water at all because they're invasive over there.
Yeah.
So it's designed as a trout reel, but man, the applications for like river smallmouth or river largemouth, wherever you're at, a river fish or finicky fish, it's awesome because you get the control of a casting rod and the ability to cast a light lure super far. So, I mean, this thing is money.
Heck yeah, dude. Final thoughts for me, man. I know I've said it already, but I was really impressed. Like I cast that thing, I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Didn't think that kind of thing was possible with a Ned rig on a casting rod. So
yeah, and I would have never thought when I first got it, I thought I had to feather the spool a ton. Like you saw, you just throw it out there and it just does it on its own. There's no feathering. Yep. It's really, once you have it tuned in for that weight, you're good to go.
Yep. And that's the other thing I was going to ask you. 10-pound braid, is that the most you'll go, or is that?
That's the most I'm going to go. Yeah, I mean, there's some guys on a couple forums I've read where they're like, oh yeah, we've pushed it to 15 because you get some light stuff. I'm not risking nothing, so I'm throwing 10-pound braid to a 8-pound fluorocarbon leader, and that's it. Gives me plenty of distance to where I can cast 50, still have a little bit back on the rear end of it. And another fun thing is you can't use a mono backer for the braid. You got to use tape because the mono backer will get too tight on the spool and again crimp. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, man, it's insane, but it's awesome once you learn it. So
yeah, that's good to know though. I mean, this is why we're having this podcast here, is because people don't know about this stuff. So it's good to get the information out there.
Yeah, I really think that's going to take off because you're starting to see a lot. I mean, COVID was the big opener, so a lot of people started fishing. They're new and they're getting into all the new stuff, and a lot of people are finding the eBay Japanese fishing market, and it is welcome to the club. I've been there since 2012. So
jeez. Yeah, dude, I'm not there yet just because I can't even afford like discounted.
Oh, I mean, it's not cheap. Like that was that's a used reel from eBay, and it was $290. So I mean, that's the drawback. I think that's what holds a lot of people from knowing about this stuff is because the price, because you got to ship it from Japan. They're already crazy expensive in Japan. So like, again, when we get to the big dog later on, I think a lot of your viewers will be super shocked by the price tag of the real brand new. So
yes, let's move to the next one. What's the next one in line? Let's go from cheapest to most expensive.
Cheapest to most expensive. Well, then I'll jump. I'll jump in cheapest with a spinning rod, or reel, which a lot of people are starting to see because it's brand new. But it's the Vanford.
Yep.
I mean, this is not peak of their technology, but it's one of them in the U.S. I mean, the Vanford's a super smooth reel, replaced the CI4 in the Stratic line.
Mm-hmm.
If you've owned a Stratic and when you throw this, it's a whole nother ball game. Like you would
Really?
think, yeah. I mean, you get a Stratic, and I have boxes. I got like 3 boxes of Stratics up there, and they're awesome. I love the reels; they're fantastic. But this Vanford is like a whole new ball game, and they have spinning reels because Shimano started deep sea and offshore stuff, and they have reels that go up to like $4,000 for a spinning reel. But for 100, I think what these retail for like 199 or 219 or something.
Vanfords? I thought they were 249.
They
No,
might
they're
be.
219 sounds about right.
I think they're two. I think they are. I could be wrong,
Something
or
like that.
that's the Stratic price. I don't know. It's in between 220 and 250, and but this is
229.
229. There we go. So I was kind of right. I got 2 of the numbers right. But yeah, it's ridiculously how smooth it is. It casts a mile if you get it tuned right and you have it on the right rod for the right application. I was using a little Mega Bass Cicada topwater because cicadas, and
and you've had it tied on since like June. Then
I've been using it a lot, but I've been getting blowups on it. I mean, the only bad it's a Japanese lure, so it's got the 2 hooks. I haven't changed it out to a treble yet, but I would have got more fish if I would just not be lazy and do that because I have like 4,000 trebles behind me. But whatever. But yeah, I mean, we're going from cheapest. This plays way above its price tag. I mean, there's some $350 lose reels and even Daiwa reels that I played with, and this still is one of the smoothest spinning reels I've ever touched in my life, and I've touched quite a few.
Yeah, I for some reason I thought the Vanford was just a rebranded Stratic. I didn't know it was completely different.
See, I did too when it first came out because Justin got one like right off the rip. Right when it came out, he bought one, and I was talking to him. He said the same thing. It's like it's the best reel I've ever thrown. It's better than Stratics, but it's not. I thought it was. Oh, they just got rid of the CI4 and gave it to Vanford, and it's, in my opinion, no. I mean, I have Stratics that run right alongside that on the same trip, and I will do everything I can to throw that instead of a Stratic, which says a lot. Stratic's a great reel. I love it. I've used them for years, but that Vanford is awesome.
I bought Stratic FL off of you. So
you did, yeah. When I got the Vanford, I replaced the FL. I took it out. I bought it. I actually had a buddy buy because you couldn't get it like anywhere. Like the Cabela's nearest didn't have it. The Field and Streams didn't have it. And I had a buddy who was at Fin Feather and Fur up north. And he's like, hey, they have Vanfords. And I literally got on my phone. I was at a softball tournament taking care of fields and stuff. And I got on my phone, Venmo'd him the exact amount for it. And I was like, buy me one right now. So he bought it, brought it back. I went out the next trip. I think it was either with you or with you and Justin, one of the two. And I threw it and I was playing with it. And I was like, yeah, man, the FL is done. I don't need it anymore. I have another Stratic. I'm good. And then I sold it to you, I think, a week and a half later?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I can't imagine something being better than the Stratic because, well, you got to see where I've been coming from. So before this year, before I redid my whole arsenal, I upgraded my rods and my reels. I was using $100 rods and Fluger reels, and you know. So anything that was that step above, like I was blown away, you know.
Yeah, and that's how it was. I mean, I grew up like a lot of people. I was using a Zebco 33 till I was like 15, not even 15, like maybe 11 or 12. And then my dad bought me an Abu Garcia Ambassador C3 round type reel. So it was a round bait caster. I threw that, learned to bait cast on the archaic that is, which sucked, but whatever, it worked. I'm good at it now. And then I slowly went to lose my first high dollar reel I ever bought was a Lose BB1. I think it was $199. Then I saved up from working when I worked at Best Buy, saved up on my money for that, and I bought it. And I thought it was the best reel that I was like, no, there's nothing ever's been better. And then I got a Corrado K used from a guy, 2011. So it wasn't a K, it was an E. And I was like, okay, this is better. And then I just flew down the slope of Shimano reels and JDM stuff, and I have never looked back.
Yeah,
And
I have a feeling that's going to happen to me.
it will. It will. Once you start using them, it's kind of like, and the Corrado DC is ruining a lot of people because they're feeling what a little bit of JDM influence is doing to the fishing market, and they're starting to go like, your next bump up from a Corrado DC is either the Scorpion DC, which that's the next one I'm going to talk about, which I actually could just get it if I don't knock all over my baits and stuff. Is stupid.
Or break one of your rods.
I would be so upset because this is a Mega Bass Destroyer rod that I got secondhand, and I don't have a warranty on it, and I'll cry. I will cry because I got it for a great deal, and I'm not spending $600 on a rod right now. So like this is it's not necessarily your step up, but it's a different type of technology compared to the Corrado DC. It's essentially the Japanese version of the Corrado DC, and it's 100 spool size instead of a 150. But it has the same braking, the DCI or the DC5 braking that's in the metanium DC. Mm-hmm. So it controls, you can throw much lighter lures on it, and the reel itself, the chip in there will actually control everything a lot better, to where the Corrado has the DC4. This has the DC5. So it's more control over your lures. Mm-hmm. Obviously it's not silver, it's black. But this is a JDM only version, which they just came out with the new one. So I'm probably going to buy that too. My wife doesn't kill me. And, but I mean, it's crazy because back in the day, this was like, oh, I want a Scorpion DC. The 2016, I have one of those upstairs too. And if you wanted a 2016 Scorpion DC, you went on eBay, you waited 3 weeks to a month to get it from Japan. Which, I mean, there's one guy on eBay. I wish I could remember his name. I can't. I still order stuff from him. I've been ordering from him since 2012. He runs a tackle shop in Tokyo. And, but you'd wait about a month to get it. Now you can get a Scorpion DC on Amazon in 2 days. It's primed right to your house.
That's nice.
Like, it's crazy how, I mean, going back, the JDM market's like taken over, but the Scorpion DC is kind of that next, I guess, jump in level between this and like my Bantam. But yeah. I mean, it's how I look at it. And this is, I guess, my opinion of it. It's the poor man's metanium. Because the metanium, which I have one of those, it's on loan to a buddy. He's using it to fish right now because he loves it, and he needed a jerkbait set up, and I've got two, so he could use that one. The metanium DC has the same DCI5 braking system. It's got an MGL spool on it, so the spool's lighter, it casts a little bit better. The whole body is a little bit lighter than this, but that runs you about $499 brand new. You can get this for $329 brand new, give or take where you're buying it from. So it's kind of like the poor man's metanium DC, because it does almost everything that one does. It just, in my opinion, looks better because it's black and got red accents, and that's cool. But
yeah, that one does look cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's slick. I kind of upset. The 2021 version is like a slate gray kind of color, and it kind of upset me because the black looks sleek. I'm a fan of it.
Yeah, but every time I hear the Scorpion, I think of the red and black.
Yeah, I would say it still has some red accents, but the red and black just looks so much better.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like I said, it's the poor man's metanium. It's a great reel. You're not spending a whole giant wad on one reel instead of like you are at the metanium, but it's that step up from the Corrado, which I've got Corrado DCs, but
I haven't even thrown your Scorpion yet. I've thrown about everything else, but
yeah, but I'll say the Scorpion's the only thing. And the reason why you didn't throw it is the last time that we were out, I had that at Dale Hollow, and I can't remember. I've been switching rods and reels out all year, like trying to find my comfort zone. I don't know. And I had it at Dale Hollow. And if you go back and you watch the live stream of that, you'll see they interview me, and I say, hey, just so everyone knows, the water's freezing. So two of my combos went in the water, a Stratic and a Scorpion. It was in about like 4.5 foot of water, and I didn't care because I had two fish on. They broke off both. I was ticked off, and I was just done with that hour. So I just went to the bank, got out, went in the water, found both of them. And in the going back to the meeting and then, making dinner and re-rigging for the next day of the tournament, I forgot to clean it that day. So the next day it was fine. And then I let it sit for like a week, and I came home and it felt super grindy. And I was like, man, and I just kept forgetting. It like sat on my desk and sat here and sat here and sat here. And I finally was like, oh, I got to clean this. I pulled it apart and there was dirt and grime and I had to do a whole rebuild on it. But it's good now. So you get to use it next time we go out.
Well, I was about to say, when people drop something like a high-end Shimano like that, you clean it, it's good as new.
Yeah, I was say once I
kind of like
cleaned it.
Kind of like a Glock, you drop a Glock in the mud and you clean it after that, and it's good to go again.
Yeah, I was about to say. I mean, it's the same concept. It's built to. I mean, it's a tool. So like one of my reels is, which I'll show, and people, I guarantee you, somebody say, "Oh, that reel looks beat up." It is beat up. It still works perfect. Yeah. But I mean, it's a tool. So I've used it. I see no point in buying something super nice and not using it for how it was intended.
You're buying it paperweight.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're buying it to be a tool to help you do XYZ with the performance it offers. So use it. So I've banged it up on stuff. I mean, this reel's been with me for like about a year. When did I get this? I think it was this summer actually for the last one we'll talk about. But I mean, it's already beat up because I've used it. It's bounced off of rocks. It's bounced off kayaks. I'm pretty sure I shoved your kayak away from me one time with it because you're getting too close. I thought you were going to run into me with your motor. So, I mean, which that happens we run into each other because we're dumb, but whatever. But yeah, so the next one, is there anything else you want to say before I go on?
Well, I was going to go into the DC aspect real quick because this is the only DC you have
I'm showing.
Yeah, that you're showing. So yeah, let's talk about the DC real quick. I see a lot of people talking about the DC and they're like, how do you tune this thing to throw lures? People get confused. They still backlash and then they're like, oh, I don't get it. Like,
yeah. So there's a few people. You're actually the first, because I think you got a DC. You got one of mine, didn't you? You either got one of mine or you bought one. I think you bought. I think I sold you one of mine.
You did.
Whatever. You have one now. And you're one of the first people that haven't had major issues with it.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone else, all my other buddies who I talk to them, because again, the Corrado DC, it's like everyone and their mother has one now. Mm-hmm. Which in my Yakima box right there, because it's on top of my Jeep because of other issues. But all of my other reels that I use, other than the Aldebaran Bfs and the Bantam Mgl and my SLX MGL, every other reel, not spinning obviously, but every other reel is a DC reel. It's either a Corrado DC, a Scorpion, metanium DC, which I don't have to show you, but I have one of those, and a Antares DC, which will be the last one we talk about. So I run nothing but DCs. The way to tune them is typically with the reel, you take off, you put your lure on, you put it at the top, and you click your button. Once you get your brake set up, you click your button and you work the clutch knob until the lure either slowly falls, or if you're really good with it, you can let it fly down, and then you use your thumb for everything. To optimize a DC, it's the braking system's different. So one on the DC braking, which where's that? So the braking system's right here. You can kind of see it. So you have 2, which is set for technically it's set for braid. I use it for fluoro because I trust my thumb a little bit and I can get a little bit extra casting. But 1 is completely open. 2 is set for braid. 3 is for fluorocarbon, and then 4 is your brakes or other way. Sorry, 4 is your brakes. Everything's on. And then with this reel, it has an extra brake setting, which is just A for automatic. So that the chip in here will actually sense what you're throwing and control the rotations of the spool so you don't get backlash. In the Corrado DC, it doesn't have an automatic setting. So you set your brakes to what kind of line you have. So if you're throwing braid, you put it on 2. And then you set your clutch knob to where that lure is barely falling. There's no more trust in your thumb, because if you do it too light, the chip won't even activate correctly, and then you'll end up getting overruns a lot. And if you do it too heavy, the chip will engage way too quick, and it'll bind up your spool. So you literally set it like what line you're using, and a slow fall of the lure, and you're done. That's all you have to do. And a lot of guys will run into backlashes because they'll be like, okay, well, I've set the brakes right to the line, but I trust my thumb. I'll just crank this all the way open. And I mean, you can do that, but you're going to be fighting it. You're literally going against what it was designed to do. It's designed to make your life easier in casting.
Right.
So you're fighting a little bit more. So you'll get overruns, you'll get backlashes, and everyone's like, well, there's nothing great about this reel compared to whatever I'd buy for $100, like a Black Max. It's because how they're setting it up, and they're not reading the instructions. Shimano sends you exactly how to set up that reel.
Yep.
And that's how it's designed to do. I mean, it's like putting diesel in your gas car. It's not designed to do that. You're going to blow something up. It's not going to work.
That's a good analogy. No, it's just it's unfortunate, man, because I've seen so many people trash the DC, and I'm like, I can't explain it to them, because I'm not that.
I mean, people are still. They're still. I mean, it's again American fishing culture. We're still back. We're not even. DC hasn't taken over our culture yet. I mean, you go to again Japan. Almost every one of their high-end reels have a chip in them. I mean, there's offshore big reels that are completely electronic. You don't do anything. Like you don't reel the fish in; it does it for you. Which there's some reels like that here, but I mean, it's 2021. That's how I explain to people, because some guy was like, "Well, you're taking the tradition out of fishing." I see where he's coming from, but I also can do all my work on my computer, and I don't have to go somewhere, and I can buy stuff here. It's just what the age we live in. So instead of fighting it, just embrace it, use it, and enjoy it more. Because I can tell you, if you're using a traditional reel and I'm using a DC, I will get double the cast you have easy in the same time frame. Because I'm just throwing, reeling, I'm done. I don't have to worry about my thumb.
Yep. Yeah, that's the nice thing about DC, man. I mean, just launching the thing and not even have your thumb on it. You just hold it in your palm, just watching it. It's
and
awesome.
if you get it set up like real perfect and you don't want it even a little bit loose, I mean, you don't even have to watch it hit the water. You can literally cast it, which I've done with you. You've been talking, I'll cast it. I won't even look.
Yeah.
My spool will stop when it hits the water. I know. I just tighten it up a little bit. Right when it hits the water, the computer will have the spool stop. And then if you're worried about overrun, you just pull back a little bit, bring an extra line out if there's like 2 inches, and then you start reeling, you're good. You don't even have to pay attention, which is why I've lost like 4 or 5 fish this year, because I'm not paying attention anymore. So.
So have you ever heard of those DC chips ever going bad?
I've heard of a couple, like one that went bad. Some dude dropped it in it was like 30 foot down. He ended up fishing it out like 2 weeks later.
Jeez.
It worked fine for 6 months, and then it went bad. And he called Shimano, and they gave him a brand new one. They literally sent him a new reel.
That's nice.
They have a 10-year warranty, and they don't actually have any batteries in them. That's what a lot of other people say. Well, do I have to change the batteries out like every 6? No, the battery is charged just like a kind of like how your alternator in your car charges your battery in the car. It's charged by rotations. So every time you cast that, like when you get a brand new Corrado out of the box, people will get it and it's like, it's not making the sound. I was like, well, you got to cast it like 4 or 5 times, and then out of nowhere you'll hear bzzz, it's that zing, and it's the chip coming to life because it has battery from getting rotations of the spool.
That's such a cool sound.
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, there's a lot of guys who are, and it's I guess the generation before before us that are fishermen. They're like, I hate hearing that DC sound all day long. I love it. I think it's awesome.
Who, Gen X?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's literally, it's like they hear it and they're like, oh, and those are the same people like, you're taking the tradition out of fishing. And I was like, I mean,
if Josh was here, I think he's part of Gen X, something like that. So I'd be curious what he would say about it.
I don't know. He's pretty chill. He's probably about it.
Yeah.
For the simple fact that it makes fishing, once you use it, I mean, if you use it and you hate it and you've set it up right and you still don't like it, that's great. We're in America. You have your own opinions. That's awesome. I'm happy for you. But if you use it, if you come from, like, for instance, you come from a loose speed spool and then you use this, it's done. And you're like, oh, okay. A lot of people use it and they're done.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. I had a loose speed spool LFS and went to the DC.
Yeah, and I remember because when we started fishing this year, I had all these DCs, and you're like, man, I don't really, because I asked you, I was like, you want one? He's like, and you literally word for word said, I don't really see a need for it. Like, this reel works fine. And then you got one, you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, I saw John B's videos and stuff too on YouTube. And I was always wondering, well, what the heck is that zinging noise,
Yeah, and speaking of John B, that's why I really got into it, because he bought 13 or 12 metanium DC, and I was watching a video, sitting in our apartment, watching a video, and I was like, I'm gonna buy one. And then I literally got back from boot camp in 2012, and I went on eBay with all because you can't spend any money when you're there, and I took like a wad of my boot camp and just I bought one off eBay, and then had to have my mom send it to me because I shipped to the house and I wasn't here anymore.
Nice. That's cool. Well, cool, man. We hit that. I'm glad we hit that just to get that little bit of info out there. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. What's the next one you got up on your lineup?
Oh, next one is the Bantam Mgl. If I can again,
MGL. Yeah. Let's talk about the MGL. What does that stand for? What does it do?
So the MGL spool, it's super, super light, and it's designed to basically reduce inertia while you're using the reel. So it's a lot smoother as it's going. It doesn't just use the bearings in the reel. Because a lot of people, when they look at Shimano, they're looking like, for instance, the Luz Pro TI is a 12 ball bearing reel. Mm-hmm. So it's got a lot of ball bearings to make it super smooth. Just to make sure I'm correct when I say this, this should be, this is an 8 ball bearing reel. And it is just as smooth, if not smoother, than the Pro lineup of Abu or Luz with their 11, 12, and I think they have one reel now. It's like 14 or 13 ball bearings. Mm-hmm. And it's mostly because that spool is designed to basically reduce all the extra inertia in the bearings itself. So it helps you with casting. It helps you, especially with pitching and flipping, for example. You can find whenever you pitch and flip, if you mess up a pitch or a flip, you'll get so much overrun, or it'll backlash on you or something, because you're only going 5 or 6 feet or 10 feet or however what are your pitches. This actually, when you pitch it, it takes a lot of that guesswork out of it, and you can really take control of that. Like during the actual, when I'm pitching and flipping, this is on a medium heavy Avid X rod. Like right now, it's got a blade bait on it, just because we went to that reservoir, and I was like, I'm going to throw a blade bait and just jig it. Didn't do anything, but I threw it. But normally I'll have a Texas rig on this, or Tokyo rig. It's usually my go-to Tokyo rig rod, because I can pitch and flip this without having to worry about that extra runoff that I'm going to get. Another big thing with this one, because the Bantam Mgl is the Japanese version of the Chronarch Mgl, which we sell here in the States. They're close to the same thing. This uses a hollow body core. So whenever you take apart a reel, this whole side plate will flip up to get that spool out. You can see how this is circled right there. This actually will pull all the way out. So it's a hollow body design. Everything with this reel is, other than what's in the handle bearings, is all actually based right here, and you can pull all of that out at once. Spool and your side plate bearings all come out. So it makes the reel a lot lighter. Like right now, this reel's on here, and the balance is so far tipped up here. I mean, my balance on this rod is probably, I wouldn't say like right up here instead of being right at the reel seat, because this reel is so light. And this is a full size reel. I mean, it's 150 size reel. Your standard star drag, I mean, nothing's really different of it. But you start to get to some of these higher end ones, and these are all made in headquarters in Japan. So this is a pure 100% Japanese reel. This, the metanium, the Chronarch is now being made in Japan. For a while, it was being made in Malaysia, where like the Scorpions and stuff are, which it's the same people that run the Japanese run that one. So no quality issues. But this is when you start seeing some of their extra stuff they throw into this. So, I mean, you have this, and this is right from Shimano's website, just so I get it exactly right for all the tech nerds out there. It's a full body. It's already hollow core, but it's a full body aluminum frame. So this whole thing is made out of aluminum. So again, they're really banking on it being super light. And this is the 2018 version. They're coming out with the 2022 version that's supposed to cut this weight down by half. I don't know how they're going to do that, but it's going to be like a ridiculously light, full-size reel that still has all the capabilities this does. Because now, if you cut this in half, you're getting down to BFS weight. Yeah, and that's, if it can do everything this can do with a 65-pound braid, that'll be fantastic. Like that'll be a no doubter. Maddie buys one and sells this one or retires or something. Because I mean, it would just make life so much easier. And a lot of people don't realize how much it plays, how much your reel weighs when you're fishing. Because if you have a heavy reel, you don't think about it, but 100 casts into the day, your arm starts getting tired. And a lot of people's like, oh, it's because I'm throwing a heavy bait, or it's because I'm throwing a heavier rod. It's really, I mean, the rod plays into it too, but if you have a heavy reel, you're going to feel it earlier in the day than you will later, which will make you stop fishing quicker because you're tired, or you won't make as accurate cast or whatever, just because you're tired, like any other sport you do. So
it's kind of like a bending branches paddle, like an Angler Pro paddle compared to an Angler Ace.
Yeah, I mean, and for somebody who owned an Angler Ace at the beginning of the season, and then watched you paddle through everything and not get tired with your Pro and said screw it, and I just bought one. It's a lot more things come into fishing in general that people don't think about. Like, I mean, even as much as the clothes you wear. I mean, I'm way more comfortable fishing in the summer than I am when it gets cold out. I mean, you wear a dry suit, so I can only imagine what extra stress that puts on you when you're fishing. I mean, when I have to fish in full waders, I get butt hurt because I'm got an extra weight on me I don't want to have on me. But yeah, I mean, I can tell you this has no DC technology in it. It's all traditional, and this is easily one of my favorite reels that I own.
It looks cool, man.
It's almost everything Shimano. That's another big thing they have going for them, is they are super, I guess, insightful in how they make their stuff look. It looks sleek. Like it looks like something that when it sits in your hand, it's got that, oh man, this looks good. Like that's in my hand. It looks compact. It looks small. It doesn't look big, and it still has all the capabilities a larger reel has. And it's just awesome. And everything they put into it, they make a great looking package, but they also add everything inside of it. So it has all your latest and greatest technology for bearings and your braking system. And it's got a carbon drag in it. I mean, it's got a carbon fiber drag in it. It just works awesome, and it's fantastic. So I don't know. It's easily one of the favorite.
I am so I have a Shimano SLX. It was one of the cheaper reels that they offer, and I'm looking into replacing that one with a higher end reel. So the rod that I throw it on is a moderate rod, and I throw my crankbaits and stuff on it. So what kind of would you consider an MGL for that setup?
Yeah, I mean, with a moderate rods, like that's, I mean, if we go into rods, it's a whole nother ball game of like information and stuff. I mean, I know I was throwing, a lot of guys have been throwing crankbait, which you can. I know guys who still throw crankbaits on fast rods and they like it and it works fine for them. I've been throwing crankbaits on a moderate rod since 2011. 2011. Because I got when KVD was with Luz, they had the KVD crankbait special rods, which you actually threw that rod. I let you use that for a while.
The composite one.
Yeah, and that's a moderate rod. But for a moderate rod, you want something with that's going to give you a little bit of forgiveness. Sometimes that rod will do some weird stuff. But yeah, an MGL would be fine. I mean, the joy of an MGL is it's not really, other than like the Aldebaran Bfs reel that has a style MGL in it. The normal MGL rods or reels, are completely determined on what you want to do. There's no technique they can't do well. For instance, my jerkbait rod had an metanium DC. That's what I was using it for, was jerkbaits. And then I was like, oh, well, I'll transition that reel over to my crankbait rod, which has an SLX MGL, which is a less expensive reel. I mean, I love that reel to death, but you can get it here. It's a great reel. I think it's like $150, and it is awesome. I love that reel because it has the MGL spool, and I was using the metanium, and sometimes the DC with throwing on that moderate rod, the way that the moderate would snap, it would make that DC want to stop for a second and then pick back up, which you got a little bit of overrun, and it might just be my MGL. I don't know. But I went to just a MGL, or it might be just my metanium, and I went to an MGL straight reel, and I mean, I love that thing on a crankbait setup. It throws a moderate rod, no issues at all.
I was debating the SLX MGL for my crankbait rod just because I like the profile of the SLX reel. Like, it feels good. It's just the SLX reel is, I'm getting spoiled with the DC and stuff now. So I'm like, I want something better than the SLX.
And so here's an SLX MGL. It's kind of got that Bantam style on it, which they designed this after the Bantam. Now, does it have the aluminum body? No. Does it have the same carbon drag? No. It's got the KN handbrake or KN with the Hagani brakes in it and the Hagani drag, which it's still a good reel. This is on a Megabass Destroyer X7 moderate, which I use for crankbaits and chatterbaits. I got a jackhammer on it right now.
Yeah, that's a whole nother discussion there. Chatterbaits on a moderate or a fast rod.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I was all about fast rods for a long time, and I read a forum somewhere. I can't remember what it was, and they were talking about throwing bladed baits on a moderate rod, and Evergreen made the first chatterbait rod, and it's literally called the chatterbait rod. It's a moderate rod. Oh. And I threw it on this because I was using this for jerkbait or for crankbaits, and I was like, well, I'll try it. I just got this rod, so whenever you get a brand new, like this is a Destroyer X7, I got it luckily from a guy who's selling it. It's like a $600 rod. I got it for like $250. I lucked out big time.
Holy crap!
Yeah, I know, it's insane, but I didn't pay that. Which a lot of this stuff that you see, my Bantam I bought brand new, and then the Vanford I did, the Scorpion I did. Then one of my Destroyer rods I did, but this one, and then like the Antares I got secondhand. A lot of my higher end stuff, I just find deals, and I find people who bought them, used them for 6 months, didn't like them, and can't justify the cost, and they sell it, and I get a discount. So it's awesome. Facebook Marketplace is the place. But I started throwing this on a moderate, and it just overall everything about a moderate rod feels better.
I'm gonna have to try it
with certain techniques.
I know the moderate Douglas rod that I have, it's an LRS. It is really soft.
Yeah,
it's a real soft moderate.
Yep, they're super soft. Like that one, it's a little stiffer moderate rod, so I use it for jackhammers now. I actually have I'll be honest, I don't know where it's at right now. It's somewhere in here. But it's a G Loomis moderate rod that I use for cranks, and it's super soft because when the fish grabs on that bait, you're not wanting, the reason you have a moderate rod is for when you do your hook set, you're leaning into it instead of cranking on it, because you don't want to rip those trebles out of the fish's mouth. You just want to set them in there and keep tension so the fish can't shake it. And I can tell, I mean, there's guys who I got into fishing last year who went to a moderate rod this year and said left and right how how they were able to keep fish better on treble baited fish, just because you're using leverage on the fish and you're holding the bait up in its mouth, and it can't shake it because you always have tension on it, because the rod will play with that fish a lot more than a fast rod that'll just move with it. So
I completely agree, man. I got that moderate rod and I was like, man, I don't think I lost a fish on a crankbait or anything this year. I was impressed.
Yeah, since I've switched, I mean, obviously I've broken line with them and whatnot. I've lost like 3 muskies on a moderate rod, but that's because they're stupid and I don't want to catch those. But I don't think I've ever lost, like, if my line is good, my trebles are good, and my rod's not trash, like I beat the crap out of her or something and it broke, I don't think I've ever lost a fish on a good hook set from a moderate rod. And it literally plays because you're using the rod for the technique it's designed for. Kind of the same thing with that jackhammer. Once I went to that on a moderate rod, which you catch fish all day on a fast rod, I did it for 3 or 4 years. I think you still throw jackhammers on a fast rod. And you'll catch fish all day, but when you get that, you get a little stiffer moderate. You can do your regular hook set, drive the barb past the fish's mouth, and then it plays with all that extra slack you're getting because the rod's giving and weighing with it a little differently. The fish can't shake it as well, and you just get way more fish. I didn't lose a fish this year on a chatterbait or jackhammer on a moderate rod. I caught quite a few because I love that bait, because I'm a power fisherman and I like to fish fast.
Heck yeah. Oh, I'm a big chatterbait fan too, so I love the jackhammer.
Great baits. I stockpile. Fire crawl.
I don't think people understand. All right, when Matt says stockpile, he means stockpile. You see his basement; it's ridiculous. I mean, you own like you could like fill up like 100 tackle boxes, probably easy. Easy.
I've got 9 full ones down there full of one, like 2 of them are full of mega bass jerk baits. One is full of just different jigs. I had to fill this one today because I ran out of room, and that's 3/16 Texas rigs. I mean, nail weights, or tube jigs. Another great product that hopefully I'll be on for the end of the year thing, because these Nico O-ring things are amazing. Those things are freaking awesome for wacky rigs.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I don't know if they're like brand new. Of course, I don't have nails because I'm a nervous biter, so I gotta get these out of here.
I do the same thing.
Yeah, it's bad. My wife gets so annoyed because I bite my nails all day. Literally, that's a wacky ring. My camera sucks. So, and then it has, you put the hook through that top eye right there.
I can't even see the top eye. I can see the.
Yeah, but say you can barely see it, but you put the bait there and the hook up there, and it saves. Every time you hook the fish, the bait will automatically ride up the hook every time. You'll never lose it.
Oh,
I didn't lose
cool.
one Senko when I started using that.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I mean,
I have to check that out.
That day we were out fishing, and we kept losing. We got like 30 fish on wacky rigs.
Yeah.
And we kept losing. We ran out of the color they were biting, so we had to like try to trick them, and we stopped catching fish.
Yep.
After that, never lost a single Senko on a wacky rig ever, unless my line broke.
That's awesome.
I mean, it was. I'll never. You have to buy special pliers for it, kind of. You don't really need to, but it comes in a kit. But I don't care. They're awesome.
Nice. I'm gonna have to check those out.
Yeah,
So, what was that?
You're not wrong. I have a problem. I mean, there's all those. These are all hooks. I have a line winder machine because I'm special.
I'm special.
Yeah, about to say, I got that also at a great deal because a store was going out of the fishing business, and I got it for like $40. That's like a really good deal. So yeah, I don't even have to line my reels up like a normal person anymore. It's awesome. I feel super awesome about it.
The perks of working at Gander Outdoors.
Well, the perks of working there when they had the fishing department and the hunting department and everything, because they don't anymore.
Yeah.
But I came out okay. So
yeah, there you go. But how many more reels you got?
I've got technically, I mean, I have the metanium just not here with me. So if you want to talk about it, we can. I mean, if you want to pull a picture up, you can. I've got the box for it. Well, I don't have it with me. But I got one more.
Antares and the metanium, is that the last two?
Yeah, the last two were the metanium and the Antares, because the metanium DC, I talked a little bit with the Scorpion. It's $4.99.
Yep.
It is the pinnacle of Shimano reels you can get domestically in the US. It's basically what started the whole digitally controlled chip phenomenon with Shimano. It's got the DCI-5 braking system. It's a metanium body, so it's super light. It's got carbon. It's got carbon ball bearings in it. It's got a carbon drag. It is, you're about to pull a picture up. Yep. So I mean, it's the pinnacle of what you can get in the US. I mean, when you tell someone what your reel made out of, or they ask you, and you're like, "Oh, it's aluminum or it's plastic," or this is made out of a rare metal. So I mean, it is easily. I used to say it was the best casting reel I ever had until I got the Antares, and that thing will keep up with that metanium all day, plus another 15 yards. It's insane. Which we'll get to that after this. But I mean, this reel is the metanium that you're seeing. What got me into this whole rabbit hole of JDM stuff, and it's every time a new one comes out, I end up taking my wife off and I go out and I buy a brand new one at Cabela's, Dick's, or eBay. So
she rather prefer eBay though. So
yeah, well, I prefer eBay because I can put it on PayPal and no one has to know.
There you go. Yeah, you got the secret. I've done the same thing.
Yep, PayPal's where it's at, man. All my stuff.
PayPal credit.
I mean, yep, PayPal credit. They had the pay for 4 thing now, so you can split up in 4 payments. So now it looks even less suspicious on the card. So there's that. It's always a plus. I mean, yeah, PayPal's the plug, man.
That's hilarious.
But man. So the last one is this.
I want to talk a little bit about this one because it is an expensive reel. Is it a DC?
It is. Yeah, it's a DC. If you want to pull it up,
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure people would want to see it.
It's an expensive reel. I've never even heard of one until you said something about it. So
Yeah, I remember we were going out and we were fishing. I was like, "Hey, man, I got an Antares." You're like, "What is that?" I was like,
yeah,
"Oh, my friend, it is
it is a
bee's
sweet
knees."
reel, man.
Oh man, it's awesome. I mean, if I was having to buy one brand new, it would be I would just like sell a kidney or something. Like I'll see if I can find this where the cost is. There we go.
Is this the one that I got to throw that was right-handed?
Yeah, this
Okay.
is it's so good. No, it's lefty. It's a left-handed.
Lefty.
The one that
Okay,
you got to
maybe it
throw
was
that's
a Bantam you let me
the
throw.
Bantam is the right-handed. This is the only lefty in my whole arsenal, and I don't care if it feels weird because it's so awesome. So, like you look at this and this reel, I mean, it's a big reel. It's a lot lighter than it looks, but this is Shimano saying, "Hey, for freshwater fishing or saltwater, because it can do both, we don't care how much it costs. We want to make the best possible reel that money can buy." Instead of having that DC5 or DC4 braking system, this has a 4x8 DC system in it, which is pretty insane. So if you open a regular DC up, it doesn't look like this. So that's essentially a mini computer in there that is running everything in there. So it's got essentially four. How it was explained to me, because I'm not an engineer or tech whiz or anything, it's got one major chip and then three other minor chips that are helping it cast. So you have your tension knob set right there, and on the internal side of the DC, it's not actually on the outside. You have your line control right there. This will actually control the full tension of your spool on top of having a clutch control knob. But this is Shimano saying, "Hey, we want to make the best reel that you could possibly buy." And like you said, I mean, it's beat up. I've beat it up, and this thing still is one of the best reels I've ever used. I mean, for example, if you want to talk about quality, I've never switched these bearings out, and this is secondhand to me.
Wow.
And it flies. And that's just a handle.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's bulbous, it sits in the hand, it's huge, but it is awesome.
Open up that side plate and close it again. I want to hear the sound of it.
It's worn. So, open.
It sounds like a
freaking
slide on a handgun.
Yeah, I mean it's
that's awesome.
They didn't skip any, and this is the 2016 version, which what you pulled up, they made a newer one since then, but it's pretty much still got the 4x8s, and that actually hasn't hit full market. But you saw all that in there, all the spool tensions, you got the line settings, and then you have an additional brake setting on the outside. So you can fine tune this thing all the way down to whatever you want. This reel brand new, if you were to buy it right now, this is from my favorite Discover Japan website. The 16 in brand new condition is $734.47.
Jeez.
Nowhere near the most expensive reel you can get, because you can get spinning
Right.
reels that are a couple thousand, but this is one of the most expensive casting reels that you can buy, and this is Shimano's top of the line reel that they've ever made casting wise.
Yeah. So you kind of you talked about that a little bit. One of the I've seen I don't know if it's a saltwater reel or what, but have you ever heard of Van Staal?
Yeah, the Van Staal's reels are like, you're a cult follower, because those are a couple grand a piece.
Those are sweet.
Yeah.
They
they're
look
sick.
Awesome.
They look awesome. They are. My buddy was making a joke. He was like, "Next thing we know, Matt's going to come into work and he's going to be showing us his Van Staal spinning reels." I was like, "Man, I value life, and my wife would kill me, because they're. I mean, those are pricey. I mean, you can buy a car with what you would buy a Van Staal for."
Yeah.
So
I mean, they kind of look like a traditional reel, like a vintage reel, and like a cross between a vintage and like a modern. They're kind of weird.
It's kind of like, the best way I had it described to me was, you know how people are buying records and record players now again, and they buy a record player that looks like it was made in 1940. But yeah, I mean, that thing looks like it was from a bygone era of fishing.
It does.
And
check it out.
that's one of their, I mean, the Steel X series, they have series that go all the way up into the thousands. That's their starter end. I think that's like $800. I think you can get a little bit cheaper one like the VR. Yeah, the titanium, the steel titanium VR are a little bit cheaper, but
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
crazy,
you get
man.
them up in the grands. So,
yeah,
but it's like old meets new with old styling, but all new tech inside. This thing looks like it just came off a mothership.
it does, man.
And I mean, this looks futuristic as all get. And this came out in 16, and this looks like it's still, we're not ready for it. It has things.
Have they
to
not
tell us.
updated it since then?
No, they haven't made a new one yet.
Okay.
They released a teaser last year that they're working on one that should be out in 2022. Which I can only imagine what's going to be in that one if they're updating this one.
12 chips. You will not backlash, and if you do, you suck.
Yeah, I'm here for it, man. I will beg, borrow, and steal my way to get one. Then I come back on the show and show you as I have it in bubble wrap.
We'll just you'll just hold it up for an hour in the light, and then I'll just add music going. Oh,
that's all the show is the whole time. It's just me. It's just me holding it like this and just block me out while you just look at it. I mean, it's gonna be insane. I mean, some of the stuff, and I was talking to a guy yesterday because he's on the JDM craze now, and some of the stuff that's coming out in Japan is insane, and a lot of people, like I said earlier, are starting to get into it. Like I know when I first got my first Mega Bass rod this year, you started playing with it when I first got it, and you're like, "Oh man, this thing's awesome!" And this is a 2018 Mega Bass rod. And this still plays. I mean, I've had an NRX in the past. I've had a couple NRXs. I've had really like some evergreen rods and everything, and that's a JDM rod. But for me, like for instance, Mega Bass rods are fantastic. It's I wish I could get more of them. Just not enough people in the area that I go to buy rods cheaper have them, and they cost like $600, and I can't just fill my whole arsenal with them. But you know, they're some of the most sensitive yet strongest backbone rods I've ever used ever, period. And
I believe it, man.
It's just JDM stuff, man. It's insane. It's a whole rabbit hole you can go down. I mean, all the way down to JDM crawls. Like I was showing you these before we started.
Yeah.
Just the thought process and design process they put into a crawfish. And they design them for bass, and they don't like bass there. It's always bugged my brain for Japan as they design all these baits. Like, I mean, Kitech before it got bought by Ketchco was a Japanese brand, and they're designing them for. I mean, you know, you get giant Kitechs that are that long. I don't know what trout over there is eating a 9-inch Kitech. I don't know where's. See if I can find it in my hodgepodge of bullcrap I got sitting everywhere. Oh, I don't think I will. It probably fell or something. It's probably stuck down in a hidey hole, and I'll find it in 2 to 4 years. Oh no, here it is.
Yeah, you hear Mega Bass, you hear brands
Mega
like
Bass
Shimano
draft.
Yeah.
What's eaten? I mean, a 6-inch lure. A lot of fish will eat that, but that's designed for bass.
Oh yeah.
That's a Japanese company, tried and true. I've caught so many fish on these Mega Bass mag drafts, and they fish for trout and they hate largemouth, except for the 2 lakes that have them.
That big swim bait game's a whole nother level of. It takes some experience for sure. I've never even thrown one, so. But I don't know. You hear of Mega Bass, you hear of Shimano, brands like that, and immediately you know that like top of the line.
Oh yeah, I mean, even that Mega Bass you're talking or swim bait game. This is. So I'm not a tackle snob. This is a Abu Toro Beast, big old ginormous predator reel, and that's a Gantrel bluegill. That's a JDM bluegill. I'm pretty sure they don't have bluegill in Japan if they hate bass. But that's a Mega Bass or a Gantrel bluegill on that. And you're not wrong. It's a whole new game. I've been in it for a while, and I'm still feel like I know nothing. But
well, you're also in Ohio too now. I mean, we don't have the caliber of fish to eat that really.
Yeah, I mean, I actually got 2 hits on that. Surprisingly, the place we were getting all those fish on the wacky rig, I had a fish break off on a 9-inch mag draft.
Wow.
Back in that corner where was all that grass that was on top when we were going through there, and then we busted back out. I threw in a pocket and I had a bass come in and I watched a carp. I don't know why. I didn't know carp did this. That's why I hate carp even more now. But I watched a carp just like spear this bass and knocked him off and broke my line. It was weird. I didn't like it. I wasn't a fan of it. Mostly because I lost. It broke 20-pound line and a 9-inch mag draft. And that's like $12. That's expensive bait compared for plastic. So, but yeah, I mean, down in North Carolina and whatnot, I was throwing big baits. I mean, largemouth that live there in like the brackish water have either not gotten eaten by an alligator or a giant red. So like they're decent size. And down south, yeah, you'll see them more. But I mean, you have guys like what's his name, the pro for Zaldane. He throws the 9-inch versions of this for smallmouth.
Yeah,
and he catches them all the time. So I mean, bass are in no way, shape, or form a stupid fish. I don't believe they are. I think they're fairly smart because you could throw the same colored Senko for 2 weeks and they'd stop eating it because they know it's not food and I'm going to suffocate until they put me back in the water.
Yeah.
But they also, when it comes to eating, they'll eat something twice their size, or try to anyway. I mean, I've seen largemouth dead on top of water with a 14-inch crappie in their mouth. So
yeah, that's crazy.
And it was a 14-inch bass, and it was eating something the same size it was. It just
head
died.
First.
So yeah, I'm about to say. I mean, they're when it comes to eating, they're trash cans. They'll eat everything if the opportunity presents itself. So I mean, you'd be surprised. That's the goal next year. The goal next year is to catch at least 50 fish on a big swim bait. So
that's a good goal, dude. I'd like to see how you come out on top. That'd be cool.
That's the goal. I'm gonna be every time we go out, I'm gonna be throwing that mag draft in the river for smallies for a hot minute. Yeah. And once I get 2 or 3 on the 6-inch, I'm gonna move to the 9. And then I've never seen Zaldine catch a smallmouth on anything bigger than a 9, so I'm probably not gonna do anything bigger than 9. But largies, I'm gonna throw some. I've got some big ones next year planned.
Heck yeah. So. Sweet, man. Well, cool. We're winding down, dude. You want to shout out any sponsors you got and stuff?
Shout out to Biome Power. They're my battery sponsor for my kayak. 153 Baits. They've been on the show. They sponsor the show. Really, that's about it. I kind of dwindled down. Oh, Wicked Weights. Hey, forgot they're new. Wicked Weights. Stop on over there. Get you some weights. Some of the best tungsten you can get because it's super small because it's pure tungsten. I know Brad knows all about it.
Yeah,
he's all about it. I mean, the tried and true. It's one of the best. The Wicked Willow. Yep. It's a fantastic hook. But yeah, that's really about it. It's everyone watching. I think this will come out either later this week or next week sometime. But Veterans Day, thank a veteran. Go out of your way, especially them Vietnam guys, because they didn't get a whole lot of thanks when they got back. That's about it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, we got your Instagram.
Me.
Instagram handle down on the ticker below. So people that are listening, let them know where they can find you.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. My handle is Matt Sowders Fishing. That's where I post everything. I've been a little bit of a hiatus. Unlike Brad, I'm not lucky enough to have a dry suit because I spent all my money on high-end Shimano stuff. And it's hunting season. I got 2 bucks I'm looking for, and I want to shoot them really bad. So those, and in between duck and dove, and if I can hunt it, I shoot it. So kind of taking a draw down a little bit. I'll probably get on the water a little bit. You'll start seeing some more posts on there. But yeah, Matt Sowders Fishing on Instagram. Head over there, give me a like and follow on some posts. There's some stuff I think you'll really like, especially how me and Brad rigged up my Bonafide my RS 117. Last sponsor, Loveland Kayak Canoe. If you're in the Ohio area, definitely check them out. They'll get you set up on anything Bonafide, Jackson kayaks, anything like that. They will let you come out, look at them. On days that's nice, you can get on the water in them on a demo. Great people down there. That's where I got my Bonafide, and I have no problem next year going back and hopefully sneaking a P127 out the door before anything else buys.
Oh, man. Heck yeah.
I'm pumped.
Yep. I'm excited to try it out too. So
yeah, sweet. I think it's going to be, I don't know, the fact that it already has a motor guide mount on the front, I can just pop my XI3 on it. I mean, that's just awesome. They just know they know what the community's starting to do. So
oh yeah. Yep, smart move for sure.
Yeah, we had to make some modifications to make mine work. So
we did, but it's all good. It looks good
works.
still.
So it looks great. You can't tell.
Yep. Cool, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode talking about Shimano and stuff, and maybe we changed your mind and spread the gospel of Shimano.
Hey, let's hope. I tell you what, man, no matter what company you use, if it works for you, I'm happy for you. If you go to Shimano, you'll never go back, I promise.
That's the truth, dude, because I'm with them 100% now. So.
Yep, you're there.
Shimano sponsor
or
me.
Yeah. Hey, make that a twofer. We're a package deal because I really need it.
Heck yeah. I'm just joking, but
yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week. Have a good one.
Thanks for having me.